I still remember the exact moment my world tilted on its axis. It was a Thursday night. Rain tapped softly against my apartment window, the kind of quiet, steady rain that makes the city feel distant and dreamlike. I had just gotten home from work, tie loosened, shoes kicked off, exhaustion hanging on my shoulders like a heavy coat. And yet, something felt different. I stood in front of the bathroom mirror, splashing cold water on my face. When I looked up again, my breath caught. For a split second, just a flash, I didn't recognize the person staring back. My reflection looked softer. I blinked hard. Okay, I muttered to myself, gripping the sink. You're just tired. But when I leaned closer to the mirror, my stomach twisted with a strange, electric curiosity. My face looked the same. Technically. Same dark hair. Same eyes. Same faint stubble. And yet, something subtle had shifted. The lines of my jaw seemed gentler. My cheekbones looked more defined. My lips, when had they looked that full? I tilted my head. The person staring back almost looked feminine. A strange warmth spread through my chest. Not fear exactly. Not excitement either. Something in between. Something I had spent years quietly ignoring. I stepped back from the mirror, heart pounding. No, I whispered. But the thought had already surfaced. What if? I shook my head immediately. I was 31 years old. I worked in finance. My life was spreadsheets, deadlines, and grey office cubicles. I had never been the kind of person who experimented with identity or pushed boundaries. And yet, I looked back at the mirror. The curiosity was still there. That night, without fully understanding why, I opened the closet door. Not my closet. The storage closet. The one that held a box I had kept hidden for years. Inside it were things I had sworn I would never touch again. But my hands were already lifting the lid. And that was the night everything began to change. The next morning was worse. Much worse. I arrived at the office feeling like I was carrying a secret bomb inside my chest. Every step through the glass doors felt heavier than usual. The fluorescent lights hummed above me. The familiar scent of burnt coffee and printer ink filled the air. Normally, this place was predictable. Safe. But today, it felt like everyone could see straight through me. Morning, Alex. I looked up. It was Jenna from accounting, leaning against the cubicle wall with her usual cheerful grin. Morning, I said. But my voice sounded different. Not dramatically. Just slightly softer. Jenna tilted her head. You feeling okay? Yeah. Why? She shrugged. You just seem different today. My pulse spiked. Different. The word echoed in my head all morning. At my desk, I tried to focus on my work. Numbers blurred across the screen. My mind kept drifting back to the box in my closet. To the soft fabric I had touched. To the strange thrill that had rushed through me. I clenched my jaw. Focus. But even small things felt unfamiliar now. When I caught my reflection in the dark computer monitor, I noticed the same subtle softness from the night before. Had my posture always been this relaxed? Had my hands always moved this gracefully? Or was I imagining everything? At lunch, my coworker Daniel slid into the chair across from me. Dude, he said, squinting. Did you change your hair? I froze. No. Heh. He leaned closer. Something's different though. My heart hammered. Probably just tired. He shrugged and went back to his sandwich. But I barely tasted my food. Every glance from co-workers made my stomach tighten. Were they noticing? Were they judging? Or was the real problem something much deeper? Because beneath the anxiety, beneath the confusion, there was also curiosity. And it was growing stronger every hour. That night, the box didn't stay closed. I told myself it was just curiosity. Just a quick look. Nothing more. But the moment I opened it again, the air felt charged with possibility. Inside were things I had bought years ago during a strange, impulsive phase I had never allowed myself to explore. A soft sweater. A pair of fitted jeans. A small makeup kit I had never dared to use. My fingers hovered over the fabric. "What are you doing?" I murmured. But I already knew. Slowly, I lifted the sweater. The material felt impossibly soft against my skin. My heart raced as I slipped it over my head. It fit perfectly. I stared down at myself. The sweater hugged my frame in ways my usual clothes never did. It highlighted curves I had never noticed before. I swallowed hard. "Okay," I whispered. Then I reached for the jeans. The moment they slid into place, something shifted inside me. I walked to the mirror. And froze. The person standing there was still me. But also, not. The softer face I had noticed the night before suddenly made sense. The clothes changed everything. My silhouette looked different. Balanced. Elegant. My chest tightened with emotion I couldn't name. I reached for the makeup kit with trembling fingers. Just experiment, I told myself. The first attempt was terrible. Foundation too pale. Mascara smudged. Eyeliner crooked. I laughed nervously at my reflection. "You look ridiculous." But then I tried again. And again. Each attempt improved slightly. Soon, an hour had passed. Then 2. And when I finally leaned back from the mirror, something inside me went completely still. The face staring back looked beautiful. Not perfect. But real. My throat tightened. Is this me? For the first time in years, I felt a quiet sense of peace settle over my chest. Not confusion. Not shame. Just recognition. Like I had been looking at a blurry photograph my entire life, and suddenly, it had come into focus. The weekend arrived like an open door. 2 full days without co-workers. Without expectations. Without anyone watching. On Saturday morning, I woke with the strange excitement of someone about to try something forbidden. The apartment felt different now. Like a secret sanctuary. I stood in front of the mirror again, slowly getting ready. The routine that had felt awkward days earlier now felt almost natural. Clothes. Makeup. Hair. Every small step brought a mix of nervousness and exhilaration. When I finished, I stepped back. My reflection stared at me calmly. This version of me felt lighter, more expressive. I tried speaking. "Hello." The voice sounded softer again. Not forced. Just different. I practiced for a while, laughing quietly at myself. Eventually, curiosity pushed me further. What would it feel like to go outside like this? The thought made my heart pound. "No way," I said immediately. But an hour later, I was standing by the door, hand hovering over the handle. "You can still change back," I whispered. Instead, I opened it. The hallway felt enormous. Every footstep echoed as I walked toward the elevator. My pulse roared in my ears. The elevator doors opened. 2 strangers stood inside. A middle-aged woman and a teenage girl. I braced for confusion. 4 stares. But they barely glanced at me. The woman smiled politely. "Good morning." "Morning," I replied softly. And just like that, the world didn't collapse. Outside, the cool air brushed my face. The city moved around me like always. Cars passing, people chatting, dogs barking in the distance. But everything felt brighter. More vivid. I walked slowly, hyper-aware of every movement. Every glance. Every breath. At a small cafe, I stepped inside. The barista greeted me with a casual smile. "What can I get you?" For a moment, I hesitated. Then I answered. "A latte, please." No confusion. No shock. Just a normal transaction. When I sat down with my drink, something unexpected happened. I smiled. Not the polite smile I wore at work. A real one. Because for the first time in my life, I felt like I wasn't pretending. But secrets rarely stay hidden forever. Monday arrived too quickly. Back to the office. Back to Alex. At least, that's what I thought. But something had changed inside me. Putting on my usual clothes now felt strange. Heavy. Like I was wearing someone else's costume. Throughout the day, I kept thinking about the weekend. About the confidence I had felt walking down the street. About the calm happiness in that cafe. And by afternoon, I realized something terrifying. I didn't want to go back to the old version of myself completely. That evening, I sat in my apartment, staring at the mirror again. Two versions of me existed now. And sooner or later, they were going to collide. The moment came faster than I expected. Friday afternoon. Company happy hour. Everyone gathered at a nearby bar. Music. Laughter. Casual conversations. I tried to relax, but tension hummed through my body. Halfway through the evening, Jenna leaned closer. "You've seemed distracted all week," she said gently. I hesitated. My chest tightened. What if someone wanted to change their life? I asked quietly. She raised an eyebrow. "Change how?" I swallowed. "Like, becoming someone more authentic." Jenna studied me carefully. Then she said something that stopped my heart. "Alex, are you trying to tell me something?" The room suddenly felt too loud. Too bright. This was the moment. The choice. Hide forever. Or step forward. I exhaled slowly. "There's another side of me," I admitted. Her expression softened. "Okay." No shock. No judgment. Just understanding. And in that moment, I realized something powerful. The fear I had carried for years might not be as real as I thought. The next weekend, I didn't hide. I stepped outside again. Confident. Calm. Authentic. And as I walked through the city, sunlight warming my face, I realized the transformation had never really been about clothes. Or makeup. Or appearance. It was about honesty. About giving myself permission to exist without fear. The person I saw in the mirror that night weeks ago hadn't been a stranger. It had been me all along.